Preston, the question I wanted to ask you is, since you were in Germania,
Uh-huh.
you you I always get like random women asking me, Carmine, you should come to insert European country here. And I heard a rumor that in Europe, when they give you like a drink at all, they don't give you ice in the drink. Is that true?
For most of Europe, yeah. Like
What?
ice is a very American thing.
No.
Yeah. Well, first off, like there's not many fountain drinks in general in Europe. So like you're not going to have that situation where somebody like puts ice into a cup and then like fills it up from a fountain. They have fountains here and there, obviously at McDonald's and stuff, but like it's not something like at a regular restaurant that you would have
Right, right.
like a fountain drink. Free refills are not a thing that's an American thing. Like ice and free refills are very American.
That sounds absolutely dreadful.
Well, I mean, at the same time, you get kind of used to it. But at the same time, like other things, like beer and wine are half the price than in America. So you end up drinking more alcohol because it's just so much cheaper. I mean, sometimes you'll go to a restaurant and a Coke and a beer will be the same price, or a beer will be cheaper than the Coke.
Hmm.
You know,
Oh,
that's not unheard of. Um,
wow. That's just, I'm sorry. I like every time I fucking go to a restaurant, like I need like extra fucking ice in my drink. Like if I don't have extra ice in my drink, I'm
Yeah, and
sorry.
it
It's just,
annoys. It
it's not
also
gonna happen.
annoys because also like because soda isn't just dirt cheap like everywhere like it is in
Hmm.
America. Like they see it as getting cheated, which sometimes
Mm.
I feel that way too. You know how like you're at some music festival or something and you're like, oh, I'm so hot, and you go to get a Coke and they fill it all the way up with crushed ice, and then it's like a sliver of Coca-Cola has like
Yeah, I
gone all to the
actually
brim.
that's how I fool myself because I need to lay off like the soda.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of fool myself. Anyways, we're off topic, guys. Welcome to the Game of Thrones pre-game live stream. I just wanted to ask him that question. I've been actually waiting to
But
ask
yeah,
him
no,
that
they
for
think they
weeks.
think they're getting cheated if they get ice because it's displacing the beverage.
They kind of are though. Let's be
And
honest.
keep in mind those lines, like in Europe, you'll often have lines on glasses because
Hmm.
there are laws about getting the exact amount, if not more, of the fluid. Because it's just like because they don't want to get a bad pour. Like we've all gotten a bad pour where you're like where it's all foam or something, and they don't want that. So like they're very concerned with like getting what they pay for.
Yeah.
Preston, there's the link to the live stream. But guys, yes, welcome to the live stream. I'm here with Phil, the issues guy, and Preston Gilligan Jacobs. As always, thank you for joining us. Fair warning though, episode 4 half-ass leaked. So that means, and I hate when they do this. I hate when this happens. If you're gonna leak something, leak the full fucking
Yeah.
episode. Don't give me bits and fucking pieces. I don't want bits and pieces. I want to start my review early so I can get that shit out fast enough to get that ad revenue. I mean, to get it out for the fans, of course.
Yeah, this is the worst. When it's just people, like a couple of screenshots or a couple of little videos or some written description of what's going to happen, it's worse. If it's going to leak the freaking episode. I want to see the whole episode. That's not really a leak. That's just the episode coming out
Well,
early.
also, you never know if it's hoax. I mean, I remember once Carmine sent me like a leak photo of like Stannis still alive after his death, and it turned out to be like all photoshopped. And I was like, oh man.
I
But then
sent you
another
that? I
time,
didn't
like
send you
you
that.
sent,
Get
yeah,
out of
you
here.
did. You sent me
Did I
that, and
send you that? Find that
and
picture right now.
dude, I'm not looking up something from years ago. But another time you sent me the picture of Tristane getting killed, and that was true. So
Bro, spoilers. Tristan, get. So anyways, guys, yeah, if I were you, because the episode 4 leaked, I have someone in the comments section right now in the super chats. I have multiple people deleting stuff, but they can only do so much. So if I were you guys, click the hide chat thing, and yeah, don't get spoiled. But anyways, we are here. Phil, before we started, you were telling me about that George R. R. Martin news, that George is giving us an update on the
On the
prequels.
on the prequel series. A lot of people wanted to hear what his comment was about episode 3 and everything that happened with the Night King, but what he did say this week was something about the prequel series. He said they were still on to go, but the fourth one that they were talking about, at this point there were still 4 in the works. Now I guess it's down to 3.
Mhm.
And apparently, I'm not sure exactly. We know one's the Long Night. We know one I heard was the Dance of the Dragons. One was Aegon's Conquest, and one that is another one that's further down in development is something else that I'm blanking on right now. Maybe someone in the chat will know. I'm guessing that it was either the Dance of the Dragons or Aegon that was canceled, but potentially, I mean, at this point, this is an interesting question to kind of just ask you guys right off the bat. Do you think they're going to second guess doing the Long Night after the negative reaction to the White Walker situation? Do you think at all that will give HBO pause to go down that route?
I think first off, like, I think that fanboys bitching on YouTube or in forums is way down the list of what like executive like producers like pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Like, we do not have that much influence in the grand scheme of things. So it's like I want like reality check, like, some guy being like, the Last Jedi was horrible, and they're gonna rethink everything and like fire Rian Johnson. No, that's not how things work. Like no one gives a shit.
Yeah, no.
So I don't think they're gonna rethink it. I think I think they think, oh, what was the viewership number? How much money did we make? And
it was the most talked about episode, I think, of any TV show ever, especially on Twitter. And to be fair, I'm sure, like, if Twitter was a thing when the MASH, the finale, am I saying that right? MASH?
MASH?
Yeah. I'm sure the fucking finale to MASH or Cheers or where we find out who shot JR. I may be young.
It was a
dream.
It was a dream, Carmine. Was always
I may be young, but I can hang out with you guys. I'm sure if Twitter was a thing back then, those would probably be the most talked about as well.
But who shot JR on Dynasty? I can totally hang.
But no, so the reason they're going to have the Long Night prequel go is because there's still a lot we don't know about the White Walkers and the Night King in general, and especially about that time period. So I'm assuming that's why nothing was really answered, because the main bitching about episode 3 was, what does it all mean? What was this all leading to for him to just be killed off in an anticlimactic fashion? Now, I'm not a George R. R. Martin fan. I'm a fan of Song of Ice and Fire. Preston is a George R. R. Martin fan. He's read other George books. He knows for a fact that George loves to end things in an anticlimactic way. We discussed it on the podcast, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it also ended in the books as well, in a very anticlimactic way with the Night King, if there is a Night King. What do you think, Presty?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to still go ahead. I think it's going to take, like, in general, I think prequels don't work.
They don't.
I mean, people need to have some uncertainty on where things are going. I think the mystery of things adds to stuff, and I think that prequels, like flushing out background to stuff, doesn't add to a story. Or as who's the one comedian who I can't even Patrick
was he in the King of Queens?
Yes.
Oh fuck! I know who you're talking about.
The dorky guy who's
I know. I'm trying to look him up right now. It's
big head.
It's Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Patton Oswalt had a great analogy about the Star Wars prequels, and he's like, "Hey guys, you like ice cream? It's like, yeah, you like Darth Vader? Yeah. You like Boba Fett? Yeah. Well, how would you like Darth Vader as a kid? How would you like Boba Fett as a kid? It's like, here's some rock salt. Isn't that just as good as ice cream? It's like, no, like, I don't fucking care where something came from. Like, I want like something good now. Like the origins of stuff is not that interesting to people.
Yeah.
Isn't that also a point that Red Letter Media made? Like, we don't really care about where Han Solo comes from, because where he does come from, you can allude to it, and that's what the aura is of the character, that mystery. Like, where's the scoundrel come from? Like, the fact that he shot Greedo in cold blood like that, you can tell this guy's been through some stuff. And it just makes the character, bigger. And just revealing where he came from, that he had like a girlfriend that he was sweet on, or the only thing cool about Han Solo in the original Legends thing was that he was in the Empire before and then he left. That was cool. I can see that I can get behind, but I don't need to know his shoe size. I don't need to know like Who his mentor
how
was.
he got his blaster, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need
Where
to
did he get
fucking
his
know
belt, you know?
But even that
It's
type of
best.
stuff can be entertaining in a passing conversation or in seeing how someone handles a situation in the modern day. I totally agree. In most cases, prequels are unnecessary. They don't really add anything except for filler kind of stuff and adding a little texture to the situation that could have been done in the actual show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, unless your prequel is going to make me reinterpret the events, which is really difficult. I mean, you know, then I don't care. Like unless it's like, you know, I thought A happened, but now that you've shown me this prequel, I've reinterpreted the story, and now it's even better, which is super rare that you're going to be able to pull that off. But you know, then I don't care. You know, because that's the thing is it doesn't tell me, like, I already know what happens. Like we now know what happens to the Night King. So now, you know, seeing him as a kid is not really that important.
See him play youth soccer and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't really need to see that stuff.
Right, unless it adds, okay, some other times I will add one other thing on when a prequel can work, and that is if there's going to be a subsequent sequel in which the prequel information is going to be relevant. And I bring this up because there's like Godfather Part 2, where half the story is prequel and half the story is sequel. But it, you know, it's somewhat important to know the prequel stuff to get context for what's happening with the sequel stuff.
Yeah, you understand more about Vito as a young man, so you are more informed on Michael's decisions later on. I think the only thing that to me right off the bat comes off as a positive prequel, and you mentioned it a couple of episodes ago, Preston, is Better Call Saul, and it's because it kind of does a way different thing than Breaking Bad, and it's also maybe informing that universe more because a Breaking Bad post movie from the series is going to come out on AMC where they conclude the Jesse story and probably the Saul story as well, so it might all complete in some way.
I mean, it's funny.
Wait, Preston, before you continue, apparently you sound a bit muffled. So change like how you're, I don't know. Apparently people say you're sounding a bit muffled, so maybe come a little closer.
All right.
You sound fine to me.
Okay, hold on.
By the way, Phil, if you see anybody in the comments section, I made you moderated too. Feel free to ban them. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So if people want to spoil anything, like, don't be an asshole. But if you're gonna, just ban you. Fuck it. That's why I'm not looking at the chat, because I don't want to be spoiled. I mean, like I said, I don't mind getting the episode early. Like, I don't mind, you know, let me get in on that shit early. But I don't want to know like individual things here and there.
Yeah,
you know
that's the worst. That's the worst,
it.
Carmine, when someone just tells you that. And yes, sir, Oliver, Better Call Saul is the best television series on right now. And thank you for that super chat.
I still have not seen it.
By the way, with Better Call Saul, what's funny is everyone, even though they only show like one scene of future Saul every season, that one scene, everyone is they just drop everything and are like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, no, he's at Cinnabon. Nothing happens.
Cinnabon Saul, yes. Exactly. He's at Cinnabon, like, filling the register and, you know, but, like, cooking the buns.
But at the same time, like, that is not a scene in which, you know, you go and get something to eat in the kitchen. Like, that's one where you're like, what is he doing? Because people care about the future. People don't care about the past as much.
Well, Preston, I interrupted you. Continue what you were saying before. I'm sorry.
I forget what I was saying. It was in the past. We care about the future. We don't care about the past.
Yeah, that's the past.
Right.
The future is we got some super chat donations, and I think I missed a couple earlier, but thank you so much for those. This was from Cross. Carmine, give your defense of the show. 7 out of 10. Give your 7 out of 10 defense.
I will give. Like, Jesus Christ!
I got you got so much shit, Carmine. You got so much shit.
I got yelled at by like 2 people on my personal Facebook page. They go, "You gave it a 7?" Look, once again, let me just say this. Yes, I'm not backpedaling. Yes, the show has been trash. We all know this. But what's the point in sitting there going, "Fucking Dave and Dan suck"? What's the point in doing that? Try to find something you can enjoy in it. It is a train wreck. But just sit back. Have you guys ever seen the meme of the cartoon dog where the house is on fire and the dog says, "This is okay"? Yeah, that is me. This is okay. Like, the dog is having dinner. The steak is okay. That is my 7 out of 10. The house may be on fire, but I give that steak a 7 out of 10. It's not bad.
Your defense is you're the dog in the middle of the fire going, "This is fine."
This is fine. This is fine.
Let 1,000 memes bloom. of Carmine's Red Team Review Haunter in the middle of a room caught on fire.
Haunter, I choose you.
This is fine.
And to be fair, I didn't hate the episode. I feel like, and once again, I have to blame Preston for this. Nobody ever hated Dave and Dan before. The moment Preston says Dave and Dan are douchebags, everybody's like, you know what? Yeah, that's true. That is true. Fuck Dave and Dan. And I'm not saying they're great. They are, douchebags here and there. But for what it was, the episode was fine. I found entertainment out of it. I did not like the Liana scene. Arya at the end was kind of bad. Actually, you know what? I want to ask Phil. Phil,
I will say there was at least 160,000 other people that agreed with me, which are all of my subscribers.
To be fair, they're going to you because they know you're going to rip it apart. Let's be honest.
Yeah, because they had problems too. Yeah, so.
Of course, yeah. And it's that thing like the Mr. Plinkett effect. Like before Mr. Plinkett's video on the prequels blew up, like I know people didn't like the prequels, but I didn't know there was like that amount of hate towards it.
There's a lot of hate for Phantom Menace. I think people were less likely to criticize Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I knew for a fact that people didn't like Phantom Menace. Even I wasn't a big fan of it. Even when it first came out, like I didn't understand. Even as a kid, like I didn't understand like why I couldn't like pay attention to this. It was just boring to me. But like Mr. Plankett's reviews,
you don't like a 15-minute pod racing scene? Oh
no,
man.
It was so wizard though, Carmine. It was so wizard.
Jesus Christ. And that's so cringe. I fucking hate when they say that. No, but like I just couldn't understand why I couldn't get into it. And I never knew there was this much hatred for it until like Mr. Plankett's reviews opened my eyes. But Phil, what did you think of episode 3? I didn't think it was that bad. It wasn't great. Battle of the Bastards was better, but like
yeah, I think if we're examining it versus the other battles that we had, I don't think it's as good as Battle of the Bastards. I don't think it's as good as Hardhome. And I think even if people go, the nighttime thing, and you can see it, Blackwater was at night, and you could see that a lot better. I think in your podcast, Preston compared some of the looks, or I forget what you were talking about, but Michael Bay. I almost look at this episode like a Michael Bay movie. Was it fun to watch, and visually at sometimes the shiny lights and stuff, they distracted me and I had fun watching it. But is it so easy to pick apart? It's one of those episodes that I can't argue with any of the complaints of it, but I'm still on the tilt-a-wheel roller coaster right now, and I enjoyed the most of the ride, but I did roll my eyes out of my head several times during the episode. And kind of what Preston was saying about like even casual people at the water cooler at work are complaining about stuff. I'm dealing with similar things. People that never complain about the show are bringing stuff, being like, Phil, you watched that show Game of Thrones, wasn't that bad? And I get people's complaints for it, but at this point, similar to what you say, I know what the show is now, and I was in for the ride. I was hoping it would be as good as Battle of the Bastards or like a big battle like that, but it wasn't. It was messy and clunky, but it had its moments.
Yeah. When I saw that episode 3 preview at the end of episode 2, I knew that we were going to be in for like an annoying time because like I've said this a million times, I'll say it again, I have eye problems. I have to download the episode and use my program to increase the brightness. When I could see everything, like, it was still like I just felt the same. Like Michael Bay movies are popcorn movies. You're not supposed to sit there and think, It's not Inception. It's just a popcorn movie where you just sit there and enjoy it. Don't think about it. Just try to have fun with it. And that's essentially what episode 3 was to me.
So to answer the question before I know where this, like, I had to become a little dumb to watch it, and I did a little bit.
There's this great there's this movie called 24-Hour Party People, which is about the Manchester music scene in like the late in the 80s essentially. And there's this producer, wannabe producer in the movie, where he actually takes this band's recording and he goes out into this shitty car and they listen to it in like an 8-track in the car while driving around a parking lot. And they're like, "What are we fucking doing?" And he's like, "I need to know if this song sounds good." And and it's like, we have all this musical equipment and whatever, and we hear it live or we hear it on good recordings. Like, this is how the people are going to hear it. They're going to hear it in this shit, in like a shitty car on a shitty 8-track. And this is what the sound is. This is what the song is going to sound like. And I have to know how it really sounds. And I always think of that scene when I think about the creation of one, like software, where software is made for some computer that's much faster than computers people have, or in this situation where people are claiming that, oh, if you had a higher def TV, or you could make everything out. Well, no, like, come on, like, the people, you should know who the people are that are viewing your art, and know that, like, it was too dark.
It just annoys me that, even, look, I love the Lord of the Rings community, but it annoys me when the fucking Lord of the Rings community is making fun of game. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, really? Like, Helm's Deep was made 17 years ago, still better. I'm like, come on, guys. This is the best we got. Is this the best we can do? Jesus Christ. Phil, were there more super chats?
Yeah, this is from Michael Q. And I guess I'll throw this to Preston. Time travel seems too smart for the show. How else could they bring everyone around in the last 3 episodes?
I mean, I think, like, if it's time travel is going to happen, it's going to be a kind of last scene kind of thing. But it just seems so odd that you're going to introduce it and then never have it again. Does anyone do that? I mean, besides Star Wars cartoons. Like, when is something like as huge as time travel introduced once and never introduced again? God. So it just seems like it's got to come back. Like, things are going to go so horribly wrong that Bran is going to go back in time and do something. It's as a last resort kind of thing. But something has to happen. I mean, right? I don't know. I mean, you can't just hold the door and be like, well, that was our only time travel thing. Like,
well, J.K. Rowling did that. We discussed this before on this live stream. J.K. Rowling, like, she did time travel once. She realized how much of a bullshit it was, and then she just stopped immediately until Cursed Child. So, but to be fair, Cursed Child is back before she got woke.
Yeah, people were saying that in the live chat too. They were saying Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm. So
Cursed Child happened. The Time Turner was brought back. But I mean, you're right that if you take, like, just the Harry Potter series, you're only having Time Turner once. But for something as inane as Hodor's name, come on, like, no one cares about fucking Hodor's name.
Oh, fucking, I love this. Gucci Alcaps, thank you for the €5. Cold open. Bran stands up, looks at Arya. Now no one can stop me. Chance of this happening. I also blame you for this with your Podrick Kyburn theory.
Also, if you look at the comment section of the last live stream before the last episode, people said we're listening to it afterwards and finding it hilarious that most of the things we said 100% couldn't happen ended up happening.
Oh yeah.
It was like everything we said 100% on. It was like that situation happened. The Night King was dealt with in the episode. Arya's the one that did it. It was the fight between the Night King and Jon. I mean, we didn't get the 1v1 fight between them, but we did get them facing off with the dragon. I think, for what I saw, I think that's what they were doing.
There was a cut, and yeah, I mean, at some point there was some cuts, and the Night King drops from the sky, and then Jon runs at him on the ground. So
do you know what mildly pissed me off about that? And I don't want to get into too much of a bashing this episode. We've all done it. But at the point where they flew up through the clouds and they got to that area where finally the screen cleared up and you can understand that's where the dragon fight should have taken place, in a good wide shot. And just if they had just taken
the scene that reminds everybody of Matrix Revolutions.
Yes, exactly. Like when Neo rises up through it all. Exactly that scene.
That was the thing, is that there was that sigh of relief, like, oh, I can finally see. Nope, not anymore.
Nope.
So Phil, you thought the episode could have been better, but it was ultimately just meh.
Yeah, it's hard. It's, again, I'm almost, my watching experience was almost very similar to yours, Cameron. Like the first watch, I got into it. I definitely, right after the episode, was hyped with excitement, but the end really busted out.
Right. I likened it to like an orgasm. Like you're fucking you're just jetting there, and then Mom, like that is basically what that episode was.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to get it out, and then bam.
I can deal with the bullshit, like the way it looked and all the. I mean, it was tough. That it was dark and whatever. But you could say it was a choice to make you feel like you were there. All that sort of shit. But then the end was just anticlimactic for me, and it's not that Arya killed it, and like a lot of people have said this, but it's true. It's not that Arya killed it. It's the way they brought it back to a callback to a stupid fight between her and Brienne. It was all down to that fight, and all Brienne and all Bran did his thing was giving her the dagger. Is that was his purpose in this whole thing, that he had to give her the dagger? Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Preston's sitting there still waiting for Podrick and Qyburn to kill everybody.
Oh, that'd be incredible. If Pod was a
I
double
still don't
agent this
understand.
entire time.
I still don't understand your obsession with Podrick being evil, but hey, whatever.
Because I just want him to be something.
What the fuck?
Oh, we're not going to talk about the leaks here, but I will say that I it's almost bittersweet because people keep saying, like, you know, they know what's going to happen at the very end and everybody's just hating it. And someone I know who's very close to me said, "Oh, Dave and Dan fucked up." Like, I don't know how I don't want to hear shit like that, to be honest, because I know Game of Thrones is beyond saving, but at the same time, I still want to go to it completely in the dark. And I was going to ask you this. Everybody's telling me that they know how it ends. Do you think the ending that they think they know, is that the fake ending? Like, do you think it's the fake one that they filmed? Because apparently they filmed multiple endings to the point where John Bradley, who plays Samwell, says even he doesn't know how it ends.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many different leaks and things claiming to be leaks that I don't know what the ending's going to be.
So, by the way, Preston, I don't know why your microphone is cracking. You hear that, Phil?
Yes.
I think you're. It's almost like you're shaking a maraca or something.
Let me. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second.
Using some sandpaper or something like that for a second.
You guys talk amongst yourself. I'm gonna figure something out here.
Time for some coffee talk.
I think I know what the problem is.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
So, no, Phil. So apparently there was an article from Vanity Fair last year. I put this out on Twitter, and this is what Emilia Clarke said. Emilia Clarke has already shot her character's final on-screen moments, and she said, "It fucked me up," she says, knowing that this is going to be the lasting flavor in someone's mouth of what Daenerys is. Now everybody's saying, "Oh shit, that means she's gonna go crazy." Maybe this is also one of those like scenes that they shot to like fake everybody out.
Yeah.
Because I'm really curious to see what the ending is. And Dave and Dan themselves said on the night of the final episode they're gonna get drunk and turn off their phones and stuff. So
yeah, I saw that too. It's interesting. Most shows when they end, they say this too, and I wonder how much they really did this. It would be cool if eventually, when the season's released, it would be a good excuse to actually get the season on Blu-ray. They release all the endings so you can see all the possible endings of it. It
would be like Clue.
Yeah, it'd be like Clue. This will be this is what might have happened.
I've never seen Clue, so this is all you guys.
You should watch that. That out of all the movies,
Clue is a great movie.
Yeah,
I'll take
funny.
your word for it.
Very funny. Very funny. It's not like the board game. They're not sitting there playing the board game, Carmine. It's an actual funny movie.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any more super chats we missed, Phil? Because I want to make sure I get everybody.
Yes, we did. We got my obsessive director who just donated. No question. Thank you. We got IC, because I'm not going to destroy your name. I'll just give your initials. D&D should be sent a message about how horribly they ruined the show and not win a single Emmy this season. Do you think they'll win any?
I think they'll win Emmys, yeah.
Of course they'll win enemies. I mean, come on.
They have many enemies.
No, I'm sorry, enemies. You guys talk amongst yourself. Let me grab a water because my throat is parched. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing is Phil, do you think Confederate is going to be any good?
I do. I think that's going to be a amazing series for them. And do you think the New Republic that they're going to work on, or the old Knights of the Old Republic Star Wars series, is going to be amazing?
Are they still being given that? Because I thought they were like that Disney was ratcheting down the number of properties that they wanted to shoot out, because they were just handing everybody, you get a trilogy, you get a trilogy.
Hey, you're like a trilogy. And now they're like, yeah, maybe people might be getting sick of Star Wars a little bit. Okay, this is from Saab KS. Will they explain why the Reeds didn't show up, Preston?
Explain why you didn't miss anything. You messed us briefly talking about Confederate.
Very briefly.
But why didn't the Who come in?
The Reeds. Will we get any explanation of why the Reeds didn't show up?
I don't think so. I mean, it would be really. So before last episode, I thought, hey, they need to keep retreating back, and the the frozen path is going to keep going down until it gets to King's Landing, and so it's going to go past, Greywater Watch, and maybe we'd see Mira again. But now, I don't know. I just don't think they're ever going to mention the Reeds ever again.
Yeah.
Well, we saw Howland Reed in the flashback of the Tower of Joy, but I think that flashback was just like a slight nod to book fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was funny that there's this one artist that does fake. They look just like in the HBO style for all of the, like, HBO created these what's the placemat on your desktop on your computer,
Wallpaper?
The wallpaper, yes. They created some wallpapers for the major houses, like Stark, Lannister, and so he decided, his name's Sirius Crane, I think, and he decided to do one for nearly every house, and they're really fantastic. But he did one for House Reed, and they ended up using his design for Howland Reed's like sigil. Yeah. So it's kind of,
you mean the lizard lion almost eating its own tail?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I thought that was a great design. Fucking but I still don't think we're gonna get the Reeds at all. Everybody wants the Reeds. Why though? Like they're not really that important in the show.
They want more book spoilers. Like, we all know that Howland Reed is the only one that really knows what happened at the Tower of Joy, and the Tower of Joy doesn't really make sense when you read it in the book. So, we want some sort of clarification on what really happened, what really went down, because Howland Reed was the only one that's alive that knows.
Right. We were talking about on the after show Endgame bosses, and how someone made the joke that the final boss, thank God we got the Night King out of the way, because now we can focus on the final true boss, which is an alcoholic woman and her pirate boyfriend. I was telling this to Phil when you went to go fix your thing, that there's this article I posted from Vanity Fair, came out last year, and it's something Emilia Clarke said in the article, which she said, and I quote, "It fucked me up," she says, "knowing that it's going to be a lasting flavor in someone's mouth of what Daenerys is. And your idea of her being like crazy, mad queen, might come true. Or could this be her throwing us off a little? Because they all film different endings. So do you think we're going to get Mad Queen? Do you think we're going to get like the biggest subverting of our expectations, and that Cersei is not the final boss? It's that it's Dany?"
I mean, it would be pretty rough, right, to have both Cersei and Dany be these insane queens that Jon has to bring down. I mean, and I'm talking about like in the gender bias sense. Like, I don't think anyone would do that. It would just be really weird.
Would it though? Because I can kind of see it going the way like you've seen the Hobbit movies, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like how Thorin Oakenshield, he's kind of like the good guy kind of for the first two movies, and that after he finally attains his goal of taking back the Lonely Mountain, he goes crazy with power. He gets that dragon sickness. So.
No, but I'm talking about it in a logistical sense. Well, one, I don't think George R. R. Martin, huge feminist, would have a story where the final baddies are two women and the good person is.
This isn't George's story anymore, Preston. Come on.
I don't think D&D would do that either. Like, I don't think anyone on TV would do that. Like, do you really think? I mean, put it another way. Imagine putting something on TV where the hero is a white guy and he's just got to defeat like a black guy and then another black guy. Like, that would just be like, no. Like, someone would be like, dude, are you sure you want to make that your story? Like, it would come off bad. You don't want to do that.
Well, I know why it would come off bad, and honestly, like, but why though? Why does it have to be that way? Like, why does it have to come off bad just because a white guy is fighting against like someone who's not white? Like, what does it matter?
Well, I mean, sometimes it doesn't. Like Demolition Man, it's not an issue. Sylvester Stallone is fighting Wesley Snipes, and it's not like anyone's like, oh, what a racist movie, because it's a stupid, dumb movie. But like,
that movie's about seashells. We all know it's about three seashells.
Seashells. But I mean, you can do it occasionally, but not with something as huge as Game of Thrones, where we already know that there's this, sstrange sexist fan group that like hates
that hates Dany and hates Sansa and hates Cat and all this sort of stuff. Like, I just don't see D&D doing that. You know, I mean, they might kill Jon off and then make Arya the main hero. Then perhaps she could fight Dany and Cersei. But you could never have, you'd never have a situation where the good person is a man and the villains are all women. Like, it's just, we're not going to have that on TV.
Not on TV. Phil, do we have any super chats going?
Yes, we do. I'm going to catch up with a little bit. Locomotion Lotion, great name. Is our negativity killing the potential spinoffs? We talked about that a little bit earlier at the beginning of the podcast. Everyone's very happy that Preston's microphone is working well.
Thank you.
Morgan says, still think Preston should have played Ted Bundy. Now, Anne, will the Game Bowl live up to the hype?
Wait, I should have played Ted Bundy?
Yes,
I have no idea what the fuck that even means.
Ted Bundy was a horrible rapist murderer.
An awful
killed
person.
Like 30 women and was given the electric chair.
Yeah, and like defended himself in court and was like a real...
And while he was in prison, like women would send him all sorts of like love letters because like it was really odd.
Yeah. Let's go to the other side of that just for a quick second. Austin also says, Preston, you inspired me to become a writer.
Oh. Wow.
I just wanted to even that out. You know, someone calls you Ted Bundy and then they say you inspired them to be a writer. You can
That's the nicest thing ever anyone's said to me
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to you? What? I said you're a good-looking guy. That's not nice? Fuck out of here.
I know I'm a good-looking guy. I don't think it's inspirational.
we got a few more. Tyson says, why do you guys think it's taking George so long for Winds of Winter, and do you think he'll end up splitting it into 2 volumes again?
He's talked about this issue. I personally think he should split it into volumes, the same way he did A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons. I don't think he will. He's received that question, and he said he's going to try really, 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 really hard not to. But I think it would work personally. I kind of like how A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons is split. I think it was kind of clever. Where I mean, yes, it disappointed a lot of people for a lot of years to not know what half of their characters are doing, but I think it would be really interesting.
As long as if he splits it up, like release it. Let's say he releases A Dream of Spring in 2025. If he releases the Dream of Spring Part 2 in 2027, then I'd be fine with it. You know, give us a year to digest what we just read.
I mean, I do think that he's delayed stuff a little. I mean, maybe I'm a sweet summer child, but I do think that he was pretty close to finishing, you know, maybe 6 months ago, and decided to just slow it up because I think he wants to release it after the end of the series. I don't think he like went on writing. I think he just like slowed himself down. And so, you know, A Dream of Spring is going to be a serious problem. But I do think that a few months after the last episode, we're gonna have an announcement. And so
I've been saying this every season. This is the one season I haven't said it. Watch it happen.
I think you're going to be right this time. One chat that isn't a super chat I just wanted to read. Super Mega SS88 Ultra Wing Purity Death Squad says Arya is creepier than Ted Bundy. Arya is more of a Jeffrey Dahmer looking level creepy. And also Mark Testa says, how much soy does Preston consume daily? Thank you for the super chat, Mark.
I actually don't eat soy.
No, you don't understand I don't think you understand what that means.
No, I know what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. Keep in mind, I live in Washington, D.C., okay? The streets are filled with yoga mats and coffee shops. And, I mean, this is where I come from. So how much soy do I eat? Like, look, I used to love tofu. I lived in China for a while. I love tofu. But I can't eat soy anymore just because I've bad reactions to it. So
still the funniest comment I've ever seen about Preston is someone calling you a racist against white people. You remember that when maybe. I read that to you?
Elias asks or says, "Hi, I think the Night King will join the Weirwood network. Do you think
that would be interesting?
Is that possible?"
I mean, so my dream. So for years I have this like half script for a video of how I would end A Song of Ice and Fire, like how I would wrap up The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring. I feel like it's never going to get made because The Winds of Winter is going to come out, and then I'm going to be like, well, now I've got to update it for how I would do it. But my final scene.
Wait, no, don't say it here. Don't say it here. Don't say it here.
I've said it before on different podcasts.
I don't remember.
My final scene is either the final battle is about to happen, or the final battle happened and just massive amounts of people are dead and it's a horrible situation. And Sansa gets on a boat, like she just runs to the God's Eye, and she doesn't know what to do, and then she sees a boat, like a rowboat, and she gets on the rowboat, and there's just this dude rowing the boat. And
Gendry?
No. Well, she eventually notices that he has a faded surcoat that has a lizard lion on it, but she doesn't say anything to him. And then she gets off the boat at the gods on the Isle of Faces, and she walks in and joins the Werewood Net. That's how I would like end the series.
Sansa out of all people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
But it also has to do with where I would take the Sansa character. So not where the show has taken the Sansa character, but it's where I would take the Sansa. Like I would make the Sansa character as one that's more understanding of how war has destroyed everyone and ripped everybody apart. And I would make Sansa like the one that's sort of more understanding, that can produce a good future, and like and I would have her join the Werewood Net at the end, to like take that feeling and knowledge that she gained and either take it back in time, or the Werewood Net would take control of people's minds or something. I mean, that's how I would do it. But I would have that last scene of like this bittersweet, like sad scene of her, on the shores of the God's Eye, and then this boat appearing and like rowing her over to the Isle of Faces. But that's how I would do it.
You do realize that no matter how Game of Thrones ends, even Song of Ice and Fire, everyone's gonna fucking hate it no matter what.
Yeah.
That is basically the destiny of this whole thing. That's why I feel bad for Dave and Dan. No matter how we end it, no matter how they end it, it's gonna suck. We got a few more super chats.
Oh, yeah, we
por
did.
favor.
Alex says chances are we see Jack Gleason on the throne again. I don't think bloody likely, but could he play someone in past Game of Thrones history? Could he reprise a
like
role?
Ancient Lannister?
Yeah, like,
then he has a completely different personality, but it's it looks the same.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, just to get him back on the front throne. I don't think it's likely. Here we go. Let's see. I missed one. Hey guys, tweeted this to Carmine. Do you think that Mel died because TLOL kept her alive until this event, and she died because she was finally allowed to?
Preston, you watched the behind the scenes stuff with Dave and Dan. What did they say about the whole Mel thing?
I forget. I missed that part. I think they just. I don't think they said anything like that, though.
Phil, did you watch it?
I did. I actually had. I thought I had audio of it. I was just looking for it for a second, but I think they said that she did what she was supposed to do, and then she just was tired and wanted to go to bed. No, I'm making that up. Something like that.
You had me for a minute there.
Yeah, I tried.
Let me check it out real quick. You guys talk. Let me see if I can find it.
Read off more super chats, please.
Talk amongst yourselves. How do you guys feel about the planned prequel for Game of Thrones? Are you hopeful? Are you dreading it? Love all of your guys' content, by the way. Thank you, Frankie J. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before. I'm not as excited for The Long Night, and I wasn't even when it was first announced, simply because we're just getting off of a White Walker story, essentially, even though I know it's not the final thing we'll see this season, but it's ultimately been a story where the Night King was one of our central villains, and the whole series started out with the army threat, with a threat from the north. So going into another situation where it's more about that, I'm less excited for that. I always wanted something like the Dance of Dragons, or something with more Targaryen stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not very hopeful on it, just because prequels are hard to do.
Yeah.
And well, I guess we'll see who the writers and producers are and everything. But prequels are just so hard to do. I just keep thinking of Caprica, and how, but then again, there's Better Call Saul. But Better Call Saul has been done by, someone that's really good.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's an anomaly because they went into it thinking, yeah, if we're going to do this, we need to make this really, really good. And I know a lot of people say that, but if you understand how their writer's room works, and if you do, I'm going to pub another podcast here. Listen to the Better Call Saul Insiders podcast. And you can just get a feel that they talk shit out. It's not like a lot of other writers' rooms where they if something doesn't make sense to them, they stop it right there in their tracks. And they wanted to make something a lot different than Breaking Bad, but to keep up the quality level. So that there's a lot of checks and balances there.
By the way, I don't see any references to Melisandre in the inside the episode, like scanning through the shots of what they talk about. So I don't know.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know. Phil, do we have any more? I just want to wrap up
Yes,
Super Chats. I always feel like an asshole when someone donates and we can't answer it.
Maybe the satisfying ending was the friends we made along the way. Preston. Preston, do you think Wins will drop soon? We kind of already talked about that, but
no, I do think Wins is going to drop early 2020. I think he's going to announce. I personally, and sweet summer child me, I think he's going to announce a couple months after the ending that it's going to be in early 2020.
Wait a minute, completely off topic.
And I missed one, Carmine, too. I got one more.
Wait, hold on. Completely off topic. Is it your birthday today, Preston?
No.
I know you're born in May. When in May again?
No, I'm not born in May.
Where the fuck were you born?
Born in June.
Oh, what the fuck? Why did I think it was May?
I'm May.
I'm sorry. I was about to say, is it your birthday today? Oh, happy birthday, bro.
I'm a Gemini, dude. How could you not know I was a Gemini?
I'm sorry. I didn't see that one video. Wow. Phil, keep catching us up, please.
I feel like I'm sitting at a dinner where a couple gets into a fight there, and it's like, I'm sorry, guys. I love both you guys. Dackle says the quality of the show only plot lines makes sense when you consider that Benioff wrote X-Men Wolverine Origins.
Did he really?
He did.
No, did he?
Oh no.
Have you ever looked at his IMDb? It's not impressive.
I have not looked at his IMDb actually. Bullshit. No. Let me see this. Happy early birthday. No, that's the worst X-Men film.
Oh god.
That and Last Stand. Is that Last Stand?
Last Stand. It's worse than Last Stand, even though Last Stand makes some poor decisions. It's a worse movie.
Yeah, no, X-Men Origins Wolverine is without a doubt the worst X-Men movie. I mean,
people are guessing your age in the chat, Preston. Everyone's like, happy early birthday. Preston turned 55 today.
You guys were talking about Confederate. Amazon is, I think we discussed this before briefly in another live stream. Amazon is doing a better version of this where after slavery, I think the U.S. government gives like black people 3 states of their own to like control and whatnot. And it's being made by the same guy who made the Boondocks, the cartoon Boondocks.
Oh,
interesting.
So it's gonna be racy.
Yeah, and that guy, like, if you've ever seen like anything he's ever like put out beyond the Boondocks, like he's a pretty interesting dude. So I'm really confident about that. But
he's super sharp and super edgy. I'm sure it's gonna cross the line.
Oh god, yeah. And I see here that what's his fucking David Benioff? He's doing Confederate and an untitled Star Wars project. I don't know if he can do both. So I don't know if they
I think Confederate was canceled. I heard. I think, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I've heard stories of both things being canceled. I've heard stories of the Star Wars project being canceled, and I've heard stuff of Confederate being canceled. But you're right that he can't do both. I mean, I think most people would choose the Star Wars project because there's a lot more fucking money in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention with Star Wars, I mean, even with Confederate, like there's so much freedom. Like it's a world already established for you. All you need to do is just make your own story. Like I would love there to be a story in the Song of Ice and Fire world, but it's like its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. I mean, you could do an entire series on Karth if you really wanted.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would watch that. Like, what's so interesting about Karth?
Oh God,
it's the greatest city that ever was. Yeah, the
great city. I'm gonna
Undying.
I'm gonna tag you. I'm gonna tag both of you guys in this fucking. I'm gonna tag on Twitter real quick. You're right. Someone made the thing I said earlier about the episode.
The sorrowful man, the men. You know that Karth has everything, man. It's got that assassins group called the assassins group that apologizes right before they kill you. And they all say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then they try to kill you.
You know, it's weird. Like they're doing all these spin-offs, but the one spin-off they didn't think of really doing is Dunk and Egg. I mean, that's the one I feel like is in that sweet spot of Westerosi history that you could really do almost anything with it.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
you
and
can add to
it's great characters
Yeah.
and it's great source material.
And it would be
you can
perfect.
add to their adventures
Yeah,
too.
and it would
like
be
he can go
perfect.
all over the place.
Yeah, it would be perfect for prequels because it's kind of contained, and all jokes aside, it is kind of more about the journey than what necessarily how it affects anything that happens in the future of the Game of Thrones story.
I mean, you are right in that the most important thing about the Dunk and Egg stories is that Dunk and Egg became friends.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think the reason why the HBO guys don't want to do Dunk and Egg is because it's not remotely connected to anything we're seeing in the
That's what they-
actual Game of Thrones storyline. Like that's why they're doing the Long Night because White Walkers and that connects.
right. I mean, there wouldn't be dragons. There wouldn't be zombies. I think that's why.
And I think that's what they need to do and almost get a new audience. And that's kind of what Better Call Saul did, not to bring it up for the umpteenth time. It built its own audience. I don't know.
Wait a minute, Phil. You like Better Call Saul?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. Ooh, Johnny Fairplay in the live chat right now. Or not Fairly, I'm sorry. Besides Arya, we find out someone else is a faceless man. Will we find out that someone else around is a faceless man?
No, but I would love that. But no.
Let me guess.
So
Tyburn or Podrick. Let me
there's
guess.
there's a big theory. There's a big book theory that Missandei is a faceless man. But no, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's a
That'd
theory
be-
that Miss Sunday in the book. Where do they get that?
Because she's super smart and she's super she looks so Missandei in the book looks really young, but she's really wise beyond her years. She speaks 24 languages and is super savvy with she becomes Barristan's advisor, and Barristan is just floored at how clever she is. And so some people think that, like the waif, she was given some sort of drug to make it look like she didn't age, and she's actually a lot older, and that she's a faceless man. That's the theory.
That's actually an interesting theory. I would actually kind of like that if Missandei in the books is a faceless man assassin. Huh.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool.
There to get close to Dany and her dragons and do whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Guys, we're gonna start. Hold on, with press. We're gonna start wrapping up soon.
Man. Yeah, because the faceless men and the Bravosi are so against dragons, so of course they would want to have
Someone close to Dany.
Close to Dany, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Guys, we're gonna start wrapping up soon so we can get ready for the episode. It's going to premiere in like an hour or two. So, also, if you guys want to continue live streaming, when we're done here, you can definitely check out Tony Teflon. He always has like a very entertaining live stream. I actually popped in there after our live stream last week was done. So Tony Teflon, definitely check him out. I think his is on right now, so you can check it out after we're done if you guys are interested in keeping the party going.
Tony's the best.
Preston, Phil, catch us up on more super chats.
Okay,
please.
here we go. George already told him no dunk and egg. I know. Is that what George told him, no dunk and egg? Is that why we're not getting it? Because he's like, don't touch my dunk and egg. Casey says, assuming killing the Night King has killed all the others in whites, are there not some range issues? Do you think Cersei is the big bad and that's it?
I wouldn't be surprised if Cersei were the big bad, but I'm still banking on
Children of the Forest.
Children of the Forest or Bran, being the big bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cersei were the big bad. I just still think that time travel and the uneven seasons and it has to be brought back in. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But what was the first question there, Phil?
The first question was assuming that the Night King was killed with all the other whites. Is there some sort of range issue? Might there still be some White Walkers left in the land of always winter or something like that?
No, I don't think so.
I think the range extends to him and his generals. So even if he's not like near, because he made the generals, as long as the generals are near the whites. I think it's fine. Actually, no, that's not true because the White retrieval mission, they took the White to King's Landing. So
That was so
I think the
weird.
range is infinite.
Yeah.
With the range, because they don't have to be near them. Like they took that white all the way to King's Landing, so I guess the range is infinite no matter what. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that like they're if they're gonna stick to the battle droids all collapsing after the command ship dies, they're gonna stick with it.
Another Phantom Menace. Right? It's all about Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
CS says, I was always curious about the other countries in Essos and beyond, especially the ones we barely heard of, like Ashai and etc. Yeah. And it would be great to see a way to explore that stuff more in other. I'm not even just going to say prequel series, in other Game of Thrones series moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you move beyond like Bravos or any of the free cities, or even Slaver's Bay for that matter, is it still Game of Thrones though?
It's
could be.
Can you play the Game of Thrones and like, because there is an Asian empire in like further inland in Essos, the World of Ice and Fire book that those two people wrote with George. They wrote about it. What is it called? The Jade Empire or something like that, right?
Yeah, the kind of ancient stuff that happens before like the founding of ET and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, even if we go there, can you still call it a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire? Can you still do that?
It's because of the merchandising you do, no matter what. No matter what comes out in this universe forever, it will have that name on it, even if it doesn't belong with that name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it does remind me of back during first edition Dungeons and Dragons, they released an expansion like module for stuff happening in the Far East and stuff happening in the Middle East. It never really caught on, but technically it was still Dungeons and Dragons, even though it was in a different part of the world.
Phil, keep going.
Yeah, and I think this might be our last one for right now. Locomotion Lotion says, I'd prefer Jon holding white dragons from the gods' wood by standing in sacrifice, as we saw, while knowing and seeing that it's allowing Arya to sneak past and through the gate. Theon is charging the Night King while Arya jumps in. Stark children collaborate. So basically, would it have been better if Jon was actually more of an active role in that situation? Arya still gets the kill, but Jon somehow like tries to fight the Night King and gets thrown off, or something like that. Would that have been a better ending?
I mean, I don't think that's what they were I think what they wanted Jon to be frustrated.
Oh, okay.
They wanted it to be a low point for Jon.
Mm-hmm.
If he's doing it to help Arya, then it's not a low point for him. He's not in despair. The point of it emotionally was, you're Jon, you're in despair, you're in your darkest hour, and then Arya saves everybody.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Like, I don't understand like why people like, and this is coming from me. Like, I was finding things to like about the episode, but I just couldn't see that one. I watched the fucking thing 3 times. I couldn't see the part where everybody was going, yeah, Jon was saying, go. Like, I just couldn't see that. Like, I don't know where everybody's coming from with that.
I think they want it to be. They still want Jon to be the hero, So
yeah, and with the where she jumped from question, we have the answer. If you watch the behind the scenes video, they even said we don't even know where she jumped from. They said no way on earth could a human jump how high we took Arya off from. So she literally jumped from nowhere. There's no answer to that question.
I think I sent this to you guys. I posted on Twitter the drawing someone made of Bran warging into the Ravens, carrying Arya over.
Yeah,
Did you see that, Preston?
No, but it was something similar. I put in my unserious Q&A about like various ways that Arya. I had 10 ways Arya could get into to get to the Night's King. One of them was the Ravens lifted her up like the eagles from Lord of the Rings and dropped her in. Catapult was another one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Let's see. Hiding inside Bronzion's breastplate of invisibility. She climbed up a tower and Jaime pushed her out.
She jumped out of a huge gaping plot hole. Says why not?
Yeah. She secretly is a White Walker was another one. That Bran went back in time and like messed with a giant's brain, and then like everybody started calling him Toster.
Toaster,
And then years later he dies and he gets assimilated into the army, and then he fulfills his destiny of tossing my sister. This one, yeah.
Oh my god.
People in the
I
live
love you,
chat.
man. You're fucking great.
People in the live chat are putting the toaster in the live chat. Yeah.
I will say though, there's one. So like I told Preston in the after show, like everybody and their mothers started making a video about episode 3 and how it sucked and how they had a problem with it, blah blah blah. There is one guy, and I normally don't shout people out. I don't like doing that, but there is one YouTuber. I don't know him. I gotta shout out his video. I'm gonna try not to butcher his fucking channel name. Invicta. His plan is improved battle plans, a defense in depth for the Battle of Winterfell. You guys need to check it out. It's a video that's 13 minutes. I watched all 13 minutes. It is a very good video into where he outlines like how how you should actually defend Winterfell, and he had a lot of points. The reason I would argue that their defenses kind of blew dick was because they didn't have enough time. Like episodes 1 and 2 and 3 for that matter take place all in the course of 24 hours. So I don't think everybody had enough time to do stuff.
There's actually a Washington Post article that came out a few days ago about military historian actually analyzed the episode, and he came to the same obvious conclusions. Like, why is the infantry in front of the trench? Like why are the catapults and trebuchets like in front? Like why are you throwing light cavalry at an unknown foe?
Yeah, and like Carmine was saying, I only know from playing Rome Total War. I mean, that's all I know about battle tactics. But what was the plan with the Dothraki? Was the initial plan to just have them go through and then circle around, and they didn't expect them all to die? Did they have dragon glass weapons, or was it just to sacrifice all the Dothraki? Because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, he was the Washington Post article. He was really just exasperated, like didn't understand why they didn't use their catapults. Because he's like, okay, you have these flaming balls. That would be fantastic, because one of the big problems was visibility. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, if you tossed the balls out first, one, you could kill them without hurting your own people. But two, once the flames go up, then you have some visibility on the battlefield.
Or you said it, I think you said it in one of your videos, where why didn't Danny send the dragon fire in first and then send the Dothraki? Because that seemed to work out last time. That's
right. And again, you'd have your visibility with the fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't really do that though, because they don't know if the Night King is the only one that can throw that javelin. No, so they don't want to take that risk of putting in the dragons first.
Makes Danny flying off so
They only brought in the dragons when they saw like everyone was being over fucking run with like everything else. So
I just have to jump in the chat for a second. These aren't super chats, but a couple of people have thrown in some other possibilities. The way Arya got in there, Colossus, Wolverine, Cannonball. That's a good one.
Oh, those are always my. By the way, like so I was a comic book nerd back before they started making big movies. But one of my favorite aspects of the X-Men comic is the combination of abilities. When you have one, when it's not just that Colossus is made of metal. It's when you have Colossus being made of metal carried by storm, and like being shot as a cannonball. Like, I love the clever combinations that they would do.
I would also love that in video games when you got to play those Marvel Ultimate Alliance games that weren't really good. They were like Gauntlets clones, but when you could put different weird teamings of them, and you could sync up the powers and get those double moves. And that was what was always cool about the Fantastic Four, not them as a group, but the way they work together and the way their powers kind of merge together like that. I dug that.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange portals could have done it. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Littlefinger jetpack. I think that was one of Preston's that she inherited Littlefinger's jetpack after killing him.
Yeah.
Littlefinger's jetpack. I love these. You guys are great, and I do have to thank Phil, because I don't want to get spoiled by the episode. Someone earlier spoiled something for me, and I told it to Preston. It's nothing like major story wise. About two characters. I'm not gonna say it here, but I can't. I have the entire chat hidden. So if anybody's been trying to talk to me,
Miss Sunday is pregnant.
No spoilers.
Who's the daddy? Elias, one last super chat. What was your favorite show episode? Mine's been season 1, episode 5. If I can't really think of a specific one, but I'm gonna be cheap and say the very first episode is my favorite episode.
That's a good one. It's a good one. My favorite is probably the last episode of season 2.
That's interesting that you say that. Really, last episode of season 2.
Yeah, because that contains the Theon speech that I like so much.
I kind of like either. I really love the episode. I don't know what it's called. It might be 7. It might be 7. It's the from season 1. It's the one where Baelish ends it by saying, "I did warn you not to trust me."
Is that when you die or something? Is that what it's called? I think maybe.
I don't. It might be you win or you die. It might be. Yeah, no, that was a good episode. I fucking love that episode. That was like a fantastic one. It's you win or you die. Yeah, good shit, Phil.
Oh, I'll go. Ding dang.
But yeah, guys, I do apologize because normally I'm in the chat with you guys, and yeah, I just don't want it. I don't want it.
Yeah, no, it's every 2 seconds someone else is spoiling it. So be very careful in the chat right now.
I just got to get more moderators in here to take it out because I got a couple of people. I got a couple of people doing the work, so I just got to get more moderators. I don't live stream enough to make a true like connection with certain people that constantly come all the time because you have like 42 moderators. Let me borrow some of yours, please.
They can come over if anyone's in here that from our chat. Definitely let me know. Bubba Husky,
yeah, like
Bubba Husky's good people,
and like he'll let me know, and I'll make you guys mods. I don't give a fuck. Just take out these fucking people, please. Holy shit. All right, guys. We're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything else, Preston? Any predictions for this episode?
I mean, people are gonna die. Is that
from what I'm told in a very brutal manner? That's all I know. Like someone was telling me they read the leaks, and I told them don't spoil it, and they're like I won't, but I will say very brutally. Everybody will die. People who do die in a very brutal manner.
Apparently, every episode of Game of Thrones except for one has had people die. So I'm gonna say that
and that's
somebody's gonna die.
Well, Phil, you have any predictions?
Because I kind of know what's going to happen in some of those leaks, I'm going to predict that Brian Cogman's going to go over to Amazon and make a very good television show. They signed him to an exclusive deal when his Game of Thrones prequel series was rejected. He ended up signing with Amazon, so perhaps he can create something cool.
He is the best writer. Yeah. He is the one that he's obsessed with continuity. So when there is like a continuity porn, you're like, oh, that's Brian Cogman.
Yeah, maybe he'll be working on the Lord of the Rings series, but I'm not very potentially excited for that. But hopefully he'll have some unique project for himself.
Mm-hmm. And I will say though, the season 8 trailer. We know nothing that's supposed to happen beyond episodes 1, 2, and 3. Like the season 8 trailer only showed us the first 3 episodes, scenes from the first 3 episodes. We know nothing that's going to happen in 4, 5, and 6, and that's kind of crazy. I'm excited. I have my fanboy goggles right next to me to give this episode a 9, even though it will probably be a 2.
Oh, I've already given it a 10. I've already given it a 10, Carbo.
I'm already gonna give it a 9. Let's be honest. For those, I'm gonna have a first impressions and review type of thing. It's already gonna get a 9.
All right. Look. If Arya dies, I'll give it a 10.
I'm holding you to that. Don't you fucking flake out on that.
And she needs to die a brutal death. Can't be natural causes. That'd be funny. All of a sudden, it's like, she got the flu. She got pneumonia. This is the Middle Ages.
She finally gets an infection from the water in Bravos. It finally caught up with her after all these years.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for another live stream. Like I said, Tony Teflon, he is doing a live stream right now. I think. Let me check real quick because I like Tony.
Yeah,
Tony's also
Tony Teflon.
Tony's fucking great people. He's the best.
Yeah, Tony's also
Teflon.
Yes, he is. Tony Teflon is doing a live stream right now. Definitely check out his channel. Tell him I said hi. He's a good dude. Very entertaining. Definitely check him out.
He's also old school. He's been around as long as me and Carmine.
And he was making me feel like a douche because on his live stream last week, he dressed all dapper and nice.
Oh, yeah, he always dresses nice.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in boxers and a t-shirt like a douche. It's kind of stained because I had like some some ice cream earlier. But no, Tony's the man. Tell him I said hi. Send him my regards. Guys, we will be back next week again for episode 5 on Preston's channel. Make sure to tune in for that. But we will see you all next time. Have a good one.